Should I start it off, Dan? Are we
Yes.
ready? All right, great. All right, thanks everyone. KK6BB Sean here. So happy to show you guys Ham.Live. This is going to be a pretty interactive presentation and demo. So I'll step you guys through the process as far as just getting signed up, but it'll be really straightforward. So whoever does go through the sign up process, if we can get a handful of people to do it, that'll be great. I think it'll make a better presentation overall. So with that, I'll jump right in. So just a little bit about me. So I'm in absolute awe of skywave propagation. So that's what fascinates me about our hobby. Every time I turn on the radio, and you're taking into account, solar weather and day and night and what wavelength to use and what mode to use, it just fascinates me to no end every time I turn on the radio. So I just love that. I've been a ham since 1993. I was a KD call back then. I was a ham for about 10 years. And unfortunately, I let my license expire and then renewed it. Became a KK call about, almost 10 years ago again. And I've been hooked ever since. So the last 10 years, I've been super active in the hobby and just enjoy it like crazy. I tend to hang out on 40-meter sideband voice, and I like Olivia HF a lot. So that's kind of, I think my favorite areas to hang out. I spent a lot of time working in large-scale internet systems infrastructure in some fashion for the last 20 years. I did a cloud computing startup and sold it, and kind of went semi-retired after that, but am focused very much on writing software that's kind of meaningful to me. I think there'll be a lot of amateur radio software, to be honest, if it works out as expected. And then, one thing I wanted to make clear as we jump into this is I see solutions like Ham.Live supporting radio, facilitating radio. So I think you'll see that emphasis as we go through the presentation, that this is in no means geared at replacing, supplanting, being a substitute for radio. It's more about just helping to get people online at the right time on the right frequency to interact with their net and make their net as useful and interactive as possible. So we'll talk about that. So the plan for this, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, the plan is hopefully for you all, if you can, go to Ham.Live. I'll walk you through how to get signed up real quick. And then while people are getting signed up, I'll go ahead and go through my slides. And at the end, I'll start a net. We'll start a RATPAC net, and we'll show you what a simulated net looks like on Ham.Live, and we can all kind of interact and take it from there. So that's the plan. So you can see we go from new users to experts, right? So, all right. So again, you've got a Ham.Live. You'll see a lobby running. Just go to Ham.Live in your browser. You'll see something that says Ham.Live lobby. That lobby is always running. It looks like a typical net running on the system. And if you click on the lobby, it'll ask you to create an account if you don't already have one. So after you click on the lobby, whoops, you'll be presented with something like this, where you can sign in either with Google, which is a little more straightforward, or with an email link. So I'll just talk about both options. So if you click sign in with Google, again, it's a little more straightforward. You'll just essentially log in, and Ham.Live will use your Google profile picture and your first name and last name as it comes in through Google to kind of make the display look nice when you log in. If you don't want to sign in with Google, you can just put your email address in the sign in with email link, and you'll get an email that you can then click on to sign in. So do it however you want. It's entirely up to you. Later, if you have any issues with this process, let me know. We'll try and address it in real time here on the Zoom call. If I can't, then I'm happy to hang out after the call and kind of walk you through it if you're interested. So again, if you were to click the sign in with Google option, this is what it would look like. This is typical Google authentication. Here, in my case, I would choose Sean at constantdigital.com. That's my email address, or admin@ham.live, and then sign in. So it's really that straightforward. When you sign in, it asks you to accept some boilerplate stuff like the cookie policy, privacy policy, terms of use, confirming you're 18 years old or older. Once you accept that, you'll essentially go to your profile page here, and the profile is really simple. It's just your name, your call sign, and your location, and you can put whatever you want for your name as long as there's no special characters. You can put whatever you want for your location, really, and then your call sign has to be a properly formatted call sign. There is some validation logic around these fields, so as long as it's kind of a real-ish location and your name isn't, you don't want to have like your call sign in your name, for instance. That would cause a problem. The system would kick back to you, and because the call sign really should go in the call sign field. So I hope that makes sense. Once you submit your profile, you'll go back to the main listing of all the nets. You'll see a lobby listing again. You can just click on the lobby and then boom, you're in the lobby. So this picture on the right of your screen is kind of what an active net looks like. And now I'm going to really get into what is Ham.Live. So I know it seems a little backwards to ask you guys, hey, go sign up, and then we're going to talk about what it is. So that was just to kind of get a little momentum early on here on the sign up process. While I go through the rest of the deck. So, okay, so why did I spend the last part of almost a year on Ham.Live? And so why did I do that? Why did I spend that time working with these funky tech icons there on the left to make the thing on the right? So I think nets are really crucial to our hobby. I think they keep our skill set well honed. They create these well-known meeting spots for us where, we can form communities in case of MCOM needs arise. We kind of know, hey, I know people I've met with at this frequency at this time. I know how to use my radio because I use it every week, or I use it every other week to join this net. So I think I just think the whole concept of nets are incredibly important to our hobby. I think they're great for just for support and education reasons. You see tech nets all the time, informal news, like, hey, maybe after this presentation, some of y'all will be on a net and say, hey, check out Ham.Live. If you like Netlogger, you might really like Ham.Live. It's a new alternative to it. So I think nets are great for just getting that word of mouth out there too about our hobby and sharing best practices. So if you share the view that I do, that nets are super critical to our hobby, then I would make the case that we don't want to have it all tied to essentially one platform. So pretty much most folks use Netlogger. The last release of Netlogger, I looked right before this presentation to confirm, was June 2018, so 4 years ago. And it can run on other platforms, but it was primarily designed to run on Windows. I believe it has some things that are, I would put it in the advantages column compared to products like Ham.Live, and I'll talk about that honestly. But I think it's getting a little long in the tooth, and I think that it's time for a fresh look at what facilitating nets looks like, using the internet to facilitate radio communications, and solving that problem in a new way. So hopefully you'll agree with me. I'll go through how a solution like Ham.Live is different than Netlogger. That said, I think Netlogger has its place, and I think Netlogger has done some fantastic things for our hobby. So I think it's kind of normalized the process of going, seeing what your nets are, joining, seeing who net control is, seeing who your loggers are, getting checked in and checked out, having it be interactive. I think Netlogger provided a lot of that, and made some of that process normal in a way that I think is good. So continuing on. So how does Ham.Live differ from Netlogger? How is it different? So the chat is real time. If you have used Netlogger, I think you're probably aware their chat interface is called almost instant messaging. And the almost is because there's about a 20-second delay in messaging. So so the chat, as you see if you join the interactive demo, is very much real time here. This system will give you email notifications when a net that you're following or a net that you quote unquote favorite, a net that you're interested is starting. You'll get an email notification saying, hey, you know, KK6BB is starting the RATPAC net. Come join at this link. So so that's something that's different that, you know, I don't think Netlogger has reminders or email notifications, that sort of thing. It has a really, Ham.Live has a really fast, efficient command line interface. It's something that as an attendee of the net, you won't really see. It's more catered towards net control and to loggers. It makes it really simple to just quickly, rapidly, efficiently check people in, check people out, you know, let people raise their hand, lower their hand, highlight people as maybe short check-ins, quick check-in, check-out. Manage the net. There's a really quick command line interface, super efficient. I'll show you that. But if you are net control, you can give people the role of a logger or a relay, or manage the net quite rapidly without having to hunt and peck with a mouse and click on the right, you know, row. And so a lot of that is from feedback from actual net control operators who have used alternatives to Ham.Live and found that the process could be much faster and more efficient. And then I think the key feature is number 6. I think we all love our toys. And so I think we want a solution, a net logging solution that's going to run on all of our toys. And so Ham.Live is platform independent. It will run on everything you see here. It'll run on anything. It's web-based, it's interactive. It's got a kind of a rich media interface. It's very real time, but it is web-based and it's responsive. And what that means is the resolution will scale based on what platform you're on. So if you're on an iPhone or an Android phone, you can very much use Ham.Live on your phone super easily. In fact, you can even run a net on your tablet or your mobile device quite easily. So I'll show you that. Here's some of the example of what some of the reporting looks like. So after you close a net as net control, everyone that is an owner of that net, or what you might call like a backup net control, but everyone that owns that net, everyone that's responsible for that net, gets an email that looks like what you see here. So it'll list a bunch of call signs. It'll list average signal reports if they were given. So you'll see that when we do the demo, you can give each other signal reports and the system will average the signal reports. So they'll be displayed here in the report. You'll see the roles that everyone took. You can see who are the relays, who are the loggers, who is net control. And then there's a spreadsheet actually attached to the report. You can click on the spreadsheet, it's a CSV file, and you can get a bunch of detail around the net attendees, their location, et cetera, et cetera. So again, this is, I think, something that is a differentiating factor relative to Netlogger. So I think it's unique to this solution. So then I want to talk a little bit, this was kind of the catalyst for this product. I like to do a lot of field QRP type stuff. I don't know if you guys do, but I love taking like a Zygoot G90 out. I have this totally different topic, but I have this radio called an RGO Mission 1, which is just this, it's a fellow ham that makes these homebrew QRP, well, not really QRP, 50-watt field radios, but they're amazing radios. But anyway, I like to do some field work with an end fed and throw a wire up in a tree. And, you know, when you're out in the field, I don't really want to have to take a laptop with me to see what nets are happening and maybe join a net. So, of course, you don't need, you know, you could just join a net without any amount of computer or mobile device with you. But if you happen to have a cell phone with you and you happen to have cell phone signal, which that's a big if in the field, but if you do, you can bring up your Android phone or your iPhone and say, oh, cool, I'm out in the field, what nets are happening? And you can attend your net with your mobile device, which for me, I like to pack light when I go in the field. I don't want to have to pull a laptop around with me. So I kind of like that there's an interesting field use case for a solution like Ham.Live. And then the roadmap. So this is kind of where we're going with the product. I should have mentioned that this is a free product. This is something I'm just making for fun for our community here. So, but what I'm thinking as far as next features, and a lot of the features that you see in the current solution came from hams, people who have emailed me, net control operators, etc. So I expect that to continue. This is kind of what I'm thinking we should do next in the product, but I'm super open to feedback from you all. Absolutely. But I would like to see a native mobile app for your Android or iPhone device where you can get push notifications a little more real time on a net that you're interested in starting. I think it'd be a little better than email. Email's fine for now, and people tend to like it, but I think we can do better. I would like, again, that you'll see this when we get to the live demo, you can give each other signal reports and you can kind of get a sense for how everyone in the net hears each other. And I'd like to kind of make that a little more visual. So I was kind of, and this isn't a complete thought yet, I'll be honest, but I'm kind of thinking around what's called graph data structures, and they're used elsewhere in computer science, but they're used to illustrate all kinds of relationships. But I think it might be really interesting to have something that I would call like a signal graph, which is basically more of a visual representation of, you know, net control and all the nodes coming out from net control and how people peer-to-peer kind of hear each other and signal report wise and kind of visually show that. Originally, I was thinking about showing that on something like Google Maps, but I actually think it might be more interesting on a medium like this, but I need to give it a little more thought, but I'm just kind of letting you guys know where my head's at with that. So that's it. That's very quick as far as the actual presentation. I did want to open it up to Q&A and then get into the actual demo. So why don't we start with some Q&A, and then maybe we can just spend like a few minutes with Q&A, and then I'll start up a net and we can all join. How's that? I don't know if I have to unmute the group here, but does anyone have any questions?
Raise your hands or type your questions in chat.
And I guess conceivably I'll see that. Although I don't.
I'm watching the chat in case you don't.
Okay, thank you. If there are no questions, immediate questions, I'll go ahead and just go ahead and start a net, and hopefully some of you will join, and maybe that process will help start to jog some questions. So
there's a question in the chat. How can this be used for CW?
Oh, great question. Okay. Yes. So when I start a net, you'll see one of the modes you can select is CW. And actually all the signal reporting changes from RS to RST. And yeah, so it's, other than that, it's not too much different, but it is a little CW aware. And by the way, if you were starting a PSK31 net, for instance, the signal report would be RSQ. But so it is aware. I hope that answers your question. Okay. So why don't I just go ahead and start a net? So I'm going to go to the Ham.Live dashboard. Oh, this is cool. So can you guys see the actual Ham.Live dashboard on my screen?
I see the lobby
Yes.
and
Okay,
the
cool.
Lake Conroe.
Yeah, okay, cool. So this is actually coincidentally a net that's happening right now. So I'm just gonna click on that. Let's see who's here. Okay, so this is cool. So you guys can actually see there's an active net here. So Jim Gatwood runs that net. You can see Lake Conroe. If I click on this on the top, you can get information about the net, All-Star, DMR Bridge, Echo Link, etc. You can see the real-time chat here. People that are short-time check-ins, they're in gray. If I were to highlight over people on the net here, so like Jim, it'll say, oh, he's Willis, Texas. Jeb, the Reb there is Montgomery, Texas. Conroe, Texas. So you can kind of mouse over their names and get their location. You get their profile pictures. You can see me in here as a spectator walking out of Flint Ridge. I could raise my hand. And I follow this net. So this little star is filled in, which means I get an email anytime this net starts. But this is kind of cool. Coincidentally, there was a net running, and you can see the information right here as far as the net information, PL and frequency. So there you go. So I wasn't expecting that. We can actually see a net running on Ham.Live. So why don't we go ahead and I'm going to jump out of here. I'm going to jump in the lobby. I'm just curious if any of you guys, oh, look at, wow, everyone's in the lobby. I love it. That's great. Okay, cool. Wonderful. So a bunch of you guys looks like signed up and jumped in the lobby. Beautiful. All right. Well, I'm going to start a net. So click on Start Net. And this is what it looks like when you start a net. Now, if you're familiar with Netlogger, creating a net can be a kind of a complex process. You have to have a specially formatted text file that has your club info, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to show you how easy it is to start a net here. I mean, anyone can do it. In fact, I was kind of thinking if you guys want to start your own net just to test with near the end, we can do that too. But I'm just going to call this RATPAC net. And I'm going to make it seem like a sideband net, just so the system will think we're giving each other signal reports. So you can see that. If it were an FM net, that it wouldn't do that. But so mode, we're going to leave it lower sideband, but you can see all the nodes it supports, or modes it supports. If there's a mode that's not here that you'd like to use, you can. So you can just say custom and then put your mode details in there, and it can be whatever you want, really. But I'm going to go ahead and make this lower sideband, 7250 lower sideband. This restricted signal reports means only net control can issue signal reports from net control to everyone else in attendance. We're not going to do that. We're going to let everyone send each other signal reports, and I'll kind of show you how that works. And then so here in the notes, I'll just say RATPAC demo. All right, so now my net's created, and what this is this is basically a net profile. So I can go edit it and make changes to it and do it around with it. I can share it with other people, let them start the net in the future, etc. But for now, I'm just going to start it. So if I click the power button to start my net that I just made, this countdown minutes, how long until the net starts. So if I were to put, let's say 5 minutes or 10 minutes, people that are interested in this net will get an email notification that the net is going to start in X amount of minutes. So that's kind of what allows for that. This grace period is basically how long do you want to give before sending out that email notification and the net actually starting. So we're not interested in that in this case. So I'll just say 0 minutes and start the net. All right, so here we go. So you can see RATPAC net, and it says RATPAC demo, and you can see I'm net control, and beautiful. You guys are all joining already. This is awesome. I love it. Very cool. And one thing you'll notice is I have a net control panel here button that you guys don't have, and that's because I'm net control. So as net control, I can do all kinds of fancy stuff. Assign relays, loggers, check people in, check people out, raise everyone's hand, lower everyone's hand, highlight individual stations, etc. So there's a lot of functionality here. And again, it's very fast and simple. I'll show you how easy it is. In fact, why don't I just show you guys now? So why don't I just go ahead and start check some people in. So I see there's Bill Fassbinder there, KM6 FCD on the top. So I'm just going to check him in. So it's the commands, by the way, it's just I to check someone in and O to check someone out. It's really that easy. Just I and O. So don't get intimidated. I think some people, when they see a command line interface, they're like, oh, great. Okay. It's just I and O. I mean, literally, if you just know those two commands, you can run ham.live. That's it. So I'll just do that. So I KM6 FCD, and you can see now on your own screen, you'll see Bill will go to like solid white, showing that he's checked in. He's not a spectator anymore. You can do multiple call signs at the same time. So if you wanted to get a little fancy, you could say I minus M. I see let's see, AD0BY and AJ6HL. I'm not picking these in any particular order, but see, I did a minus M for multiple call signs at the same time, right? So that's basically how it works. Now, let's say Ron here said, I'm short check-in. I'm just checking in and checking out. I can just click Ron's call sign and you'll see them all. Everyone will see them highlighted as gray. But let me just check in the rest here. So AJ6, the II, KF7 SOJ, N1 OFH, KB1PA. And then I had a question while I'm doing this. Oh, I forgot I was wondering if anyone wants to be a logger, and it's super easy. If you volunteer to be a logger, I'll show you what that looks like. And you'll get the option to check people in and out yourself. So you'll basically just get the I and O command. That's it as a logger. You won't get all these other commands. So I'm going to just pick someone real quick. I'm going to pick on Bill Fassbinder here and make him a relay. And I'll show you, that's just the R command, R KM6 FCD. So now Bill is a relay. Relays don't really get to do anything special in the system. It's just for display purposes, everyone on the net can see Bill's a relay. That's about it. But I'm going to highlight Philip here as another short check-in, check-out. Does someone want to volunteer to be a logger? And I can show everyone what it looks like when someone's a logger, and you'll get the option to check people in and out also.
I'll go ahead and be a logger. AJ6HO.
AJ6HO, thank you. AJ6HO. Okay, so I just typed L, AJ6HO. And now, Loretta, you should see something that says Net Control Panel on your screen. And no one else has that except for you and I now, but you'll see an orange button. Let me close this so you can see what it looks like. You'll see this orange button on your screen somewhere. Hopefully you do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool.
Let me turn my TV down. Stand by.
Okay, no problem.
Other unacceptable responses include it's nothing, don't worry about it, and I said it's nothing, don't worry about it.
So Loretta, if you go ahead and click that net control panel, you'll have the option to, no problem. If you go ahead and click that net control panel, you'll have the option to check people in and out also.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to just type in, and you know what, for fun, do you mind checking in someone who isn't even here? I wanted to show you what that looks like. So if you pick a call sign, someone you know that isn't in attendance here, another ham, kind of want to show the group what that looks like. I'm putting you on the spot, Loretta. I hope you don't mind.
So I put I.
Okay. Space,
and then the call sign.
That's right.
And press enter.
Yep.
And
There
let's
you
see
go.
what happened.
So you
Oh,
did
there he is.
Dennis.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys can see what happens there. So Dennis is checked in. Dennis L. Kidder, W6DQ, and you'll see kind of interesting. So there's a picture of Marconi for Dennis because I needed something. Because obviously Dennis doesn't have a Ham.Live account, but it gets all of Dennis's information from QRZ. So if you highlight over Dennis's name, you'll see his location and all that stuff. So QRZ
Oh,
will
wow.
populate the data if we don't have a
Cool.
Ham.Live account. Next, I'm just gonna, and feel free to chat here. I'm just gonna write this chat is real time. Kind of want you guys to get a sense for how real time the chat is, especially if you're used to Netlogger, where you have this 20-second delay. I'm gonna say feel free. Yeah, there you go. This is a test. This is cool. So wonderful. So you guys can see how real time it is. The other thing I was going to show you, as far as, let's see, I showed you relays, loggers. Why don't we, if you guys want, I'm picking on this Bill Fassbinder guy here. So I'm going to pick on him again. So I'm going to give him a signal report of, let's see, I'm going to give him a 5 and 6. So where it says RS here, I'm going to say 5 and 6. And you guys should all see momentarily that Bill has a 5 and 6. That's how he's coming in for me. And then if Loretta, I'm going to pick on you too. Loretta, if you don't mind, can you give Bill a 5 and 9 or a 5 and 8? Do a 5 and 8, actually.
So do I click on Bill's?
Yeah. So Bill Fassbinder, see where it says RS by his name? Just type 5-8 there and hit enter. And there you go. So now you guys can see I gave him a 5 and 6. Loretta gave him a 5 and 8. He'll average to a 5 and 7, unless maybe you gave him a 5 and 9, or unless someone else gave him a signal report. So now it's skewing the average. But the point is, it averages each column. So it averages, if this were CW, it would average R separately from S, separately from T, or R separately from S, separately from Q, if that makes sense. So each column is averaged accordingly. So you can kind of get a sense for how people are coming in. So that said, feel free to type in, signal reports for anyone. Hayden is so confused. KG6YVD. Hayden, tell me about it. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself, but I am happy to address any confusion.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I was just trying to be funny. I had
Oh.
nothing else to say.
Okay. I wanted to make sure you weren't legitimately confused, Hayden.
Oh, I'm dazed and confused. And
Okay.
confused for
Well,
days.
all right. But I wanted to make sure you weren't additionally so due to anything I'm doing today. So, all right. This is cool. I feel like this is working out really well. So anyone else want to be a logger? We can check in the rest of these folks. If not, I'll just go ahead and check people in. W7.
I'll go ahead and do it.
Okay.
KHCT, Kilo 8 Zulu Tango.
Kilo 8 Zulu Tango. Okay. All right. Anthony. Yeah. All right. Hey, Anthony. You're a logger. So Anthony, you should see a net control panel there. And it should just be this orange button.
I got it.
There you go. And if you want, you can check in Hayden there. If you do KG6YVD, then we'll check in our last participant in the net here. Beautiful. So there you go. So Anthony checked you in.
The thing I really like on this is this averaging of signal reports. We do an HF net that most of the people are close by, but some people signals are not readable by the net control. But having this averaging of signals from everyone that's at the net would be really nice.
Yeah. A lot of people use that feature actually. And You know what a lot of people do is after you close the net, or when I close this net, I'll get a email spreadsheet that'll show all the signal reports, and then they'll usually email that out to the club. So I think people like it, namely for the reporting feature after the net. So that's it, gang. I mean, this is Ham.Live. Probably we might be over time here. You'll have to keep me honest, Anthony, but
Oh no,
any-
you're fine.
okay. Any questions that anyone has about any of this?
I've got a question.
Sure.
This is Hayden KG6YVD.
Yeah.
If in using this, if after a net, somebody wanted to take that file of all the check-ins and put it on QRZ, is there a possibility of that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I found Netlogger, I cannot do that.
Yes, you'll get a spreadsheet when we close the net. If you're net control or if you're an owner of the net, you'll get a spreadsheet that you can do whatever you want with. It's a CSV file. You can export it however you want. And yes, absolutely.
And you've tested it and it does work.
No, full disclosure, I have not tried that, but it should. I don't see any reason why it would not work.
Because I was told that Netlogger would do that, and I found that it does not work. And I've got almost 300 check-ins from my net on 40 meters, and no way to, unless I hand individually move, put each person in and try and get the time close.
Well, as long as I have a data import API, I'm happy to talk to you offline about taking that CSV file that you get, the email attachment that you get when you close the net, and as long as they have some way to take generic CSV data, I can help you with that offline. I'm more than happy to do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Sean, if you have an open net, can you assign everyone as a net control with one command, or do you need to do each person individually?
You can, so you can do multiples. It's command line driven. So if I wanted to make everyone in this net a logger, I can just say L minus M, but I would have to specify their call signs.
Okay.
Oh, another quick thing, if you're interested, if you guys don't mind, there at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see those 4 buttons. Those are the buttons that you can use as a net attendee. So if you want to click like the hand raise icon, feel free if you want to, but that would be a way to get net control's attention during a net. You can raise your hand. So I can see Hayden raised his hand, Bill raised his hand. So it's kind of a neat feature. The star there, where it says follow this net, that if you click that star, that means you're going to get an email every time this net starts in the future. And then, oh, go ahead.
If someone is down below the scroll and they click the hand signal, it doesn't let you know that there's someone down there, does it?
Good question. So it does if you're net control. So if you're net control, if you look at my screen, look at the top of my screen, it says hands up.
Okay, I see it now.
Yep. So, and as net control, you can do fancy stuff. Like I can say, let's say I addressed, or I'll show you a couple different ways to address hands. So let's say Philip and Ron, let's say I addressed whatever their concern was. I can just click on their profile picture here. If I click on it, so I just clicked on Philip's, and I'm going to click on Ron's. It'll lower their hands. So as net control, you can lower someone's hand if they've raised their hand. I can in bulk lower or raise anyone's hand. So I can just say hand minus A for all minus D. And now it's bulk lower hand. So if anyone had their hand up right then, it would just lower everyone's hands if it was a distraction to net control. What else can I tell you? There's a really neat kind of auto scroll feature. I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but see on the bottom left, it says auto scroll station table. If you check that, so you see kind of double chevrons pointed down instead of an X. What that means is as new people jump in here, the list of stations will scroll automatically for you. So you don't have to keep scrolling to see, are there new spectators or attendees or new people being checked in. In fact, I'll just check someone in who I know isn't here. So I'm going to check in KK6QMS. And if you guys have this auto scroll station table checked, so you see double chevrons there, if I check them in, that station list should scroll automatically. So
you know my buddy Clifford.
oh yeah, Clifford's a good friend of mine,
Well,
actually.
he lives him up in Morongo Valley, and he's got a Yagi pointed to my hilltop down here in San Diego
Oh,
County, and he talks on my 220.
well, Clifford's a great friend of mine. I head out to Morongo Valley all the time to see him. So I'm very familiar with this setup over there. And he actually provided a lot of fantastic input for the software. So he was a big help. All right, gang. I guess that's it. If there are no other questions, the only other thing I was going to say is if you want to, while you're here, you can go start a net. So let me close.
Before you do anything else, I
Yeah.
just got a question.
Yeah.
So I see you putting these, like for a logger, you put an L
Yeah.
and then something else. How, is there a cheat sheet that tells us what we're
Yes.
supposed to be?
Yes, there is. So a couple things. So the cheat sheet is basically right here, right above the command line. So do you see where I highlighted?
I
It
see
tells you
where
all-
you did. I want to look on mine.
Got it.
I don't see
So,
it.
so Hayden, if you were a logger, you would see it. So
Okay.
I'll make you a logger. So L KG6, your YVD, right?
Yep.
So, all right, now you're a logger. You'll get a net control panel option. If you click it, you'll get a cheat sheet. So,
Uh-huh.
makes sense. So if I close the net, this will
Sean,
generate.
before you close it,
Oh yeah, yeah,
is-
absolutely.
if you need to check out on your own and you can't get net control, can you check out without being a net controller?
No, you would have to inform net control. I mean, you could
Okay.
obviously just leave. Actually, I should show the checkout process here. So that's Anthony. So I'll just check you out, Anthony, so people can
Okay.
see what it looks like when someone does check out. So OK8ZT. So I just checked out Anthony, and you can see there at the bottom of the screen, Anthony has a strike through his name. And you'll notice also the signal reporting box, you can't input any data in that field anymore. If you were to click on his average signal report, which is a 4 and 2, you can't change the signal report. So, but that's what it looks like when you check someone out. But yeah, once I close the net, I'll get a report. And Anthony, I'm happy to send that report to you if you want to send it out to the larger group.
Yeah, we'll include that in the documents.
Okay, fantastic. Great. And so if there are no other questions, I'm going to close the net and I'm going to show you guys really quickly. Is text chat the only way to communicate? Your radio is the other way to communicate, but yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, right now it's just the real-time chat and obviously your radio. But I would make the case too that the hand raising and lowering and signal reports and stuff are ways to communicate too. There are ways to make it interactive. All right. Any other questions before I close the net? Because what I wanted to do is show you guys how to just start your own net if you want to play with the system after our presentation is done and you want to just play around with the command line and get familiar with it. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to do that. So I'll just type close. It's really that simple. So remember, all you really need to know is I to check people in, O to check people out, and close to close the net when you're done. All the other fancy stuff like assigning loggers and relays and everything else, you don't really, that's all optional stuff. So if you were to just write down I, O, and close, you have everything you need. But I'll go ahead and close the net. So it says closing net. Right now it's generating a report and emailing it to myself. And you'll see the net is no longer here. Oh, and someone just started a band exploration net, so I'm guessing that's someone here.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Is that you, Anthony?
Yes, it is.
Oh, cool. Well, you know what, then I'm gonna, so really quick, you just click up above where it says start net, gang, and you can start your own net. So as Anthony just did, you just type in the name of the net and the frequency, and then everyone will see it on the main dashboard. But let's say I'm going to join Anthony's net, band exploration net. I can click this little purple star by his net, and I'll get an email every time Anthony starts that net. Oh, and actually, let me show you guys this. If I go to settings, favorites, you can see all the nets that I'm following. So these are all different nets that are in the system that are active on Ham.Live, and I get emails when these nets start. But anyway, I'll click on Anthony's net. So Anthony, oh, it looks like Loretta's in here with us. Great. So, and Anthony, now you have the full net control panel. I'm sure you noticed, and you can do all kinds of fun stuff there. So I hope that wasn't too much, too quick, gang. I hope this was useful. Thank you for the time. This is such a cool group, and I'm planning on attending the RATPAC meetings in the future, because I didn't know about this before Anthony reached out to me. So yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Great presentation. Who's speaking there? Who wants to speak?
I got a question.
Sure.
KG6YBD here. So you mentioned that there would be the list that you could, now that would go just to the net control and the loggers, or just to the net control with that list?
It goes just to the net control.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Is it delivered via email or?
It is via email. So here it is.
Okay.
You guys can see. Here are the call signs. Here's everyone that was in. Here's the signal reports. And then there's a spreadsheet here, which I can open up.
There's a question in the chat from Dale. Once you start or create a net, does it stay around forever, or does it get deleted with inactivity?
That's a fantastic question. Okay, that's a fantastic question. So this gets very technical, but it's actually a neat feature of the system. So once you create a net, no one else can own a net that's named what you name your net. So I'll give you an example. Let me go back to Ham.Live or actually Anthony's net. So only Anthony can have the band exploration net. If anyone sees the band exploration net running, they know it's Anthony's. They know it's no one else's. So if I were to try to create a net called band exploration net, spelled exactly that way, it would tell me a net already exists in the system of that name. That's actually a feature. So it's so that you can tell the net attendee that there's some authenticity around this. This is a net that I've joined before. I know that name. I know I trust it. What Anthony can do is Anthony can, if you go to your start net list, this is where I had my RATPAC net. There's a link here called a co-owner. So you can add a co-owner of your net. So the net we were all just in for demonstration purposes, this RATPAC net, I can say, click on, I can edit the net, I can delete the net, or I can add a co-owner. If I add a co-owner and put in an email address, that's someone that has all the rights and privileges to that net that I do. So when they go to their listing of nets here, they can start the net, they can edit the net, they can do whatever they want with the net. So that's how you get around this idea of no one else can create a net with that same name. You can, once you create a net, you can share the net with other people by adding co-owners. Now, if I were to add Hayden as a co-owner of the RATPAC net, Hayden and I would both own that net. If I went ahead and then deleted the net on my side, the net wouldn't actually be deleted. Hayden would still see it. He would still have followers of his net. When he starts the net in the future, people would still get email notifications. It wouldn't actually be deleted until everyone who owns the net deletes it. So if it's only owned by Hayden and myself, and we both delete it, then it will be deleted in the system permanently, and someone else can go in and create a net called the RATPAC net. So that's kind of how that works. Also, if you delete your account, which is very easy, you can just go to settings up here, your data privacy, and click delete my account. If you delete your account, any nets that you own will also be deleted. If the nets that you own that are deleted when your account gets deleted are also owned by other people, the nets will actually persist. They'll stick around until everyone who owns the net deletes it, then it's actually gone. So only nets exist until there's no more references to the net by any owners. And then the email reports get sent to all owners of the net. So in this example where, again, where I was sharing the RATPAC net here with Hayden, after I close the net and get that report, Hayden and I would both get a report. If he were to start the net and close it, we would both get a report. So all owners of a net get a report when it's closed. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question, but I hope it answers it.
Sean, if you'd like me to show them the report, if you let me share the screen for a minute, I'll show what I got.
Yeah, by all means. So I'll just say stop sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Dan, can you give me share permission?
Yeah, one moment.
Okay. While you're doing that, just to note, it did arrive in my spam folder is where it went.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yes. Yeah. It's a new system, so that will
Yes.
happen.
Okay, so here's what it looks like. This is the email that I got, and then there's also a CSV file that I downloaded and opened up here as a spreadsheet. So you should be able to see both of those on the screen right now.
Yep, looks great.
And it gives you the URL of the net. I'm assuming that's what this is.
That's exactly right.
So can you open up Ham? Can you open up the program and the net by using that shortcut, that URL?
Oh, yeah. So I'll actually show you that if you want. Click on, if you don't mind, Anthony, while you're sharing your screen, just click on that URL. I'll show you what that does.
Yeah, let me just grab it here real quick. I don't think I got it copied.
So,
Okay, so
once you create a net in the system, I'll tell people what you're doing that. The URL for the net never changes. So so you can give that URL for your net to your club, to your members, etc. That URL is never going to change as long as someone owns the net. And what it says here, this is perfect, Anthony. What it says here is we're waiting for net control to start the net effectively. Now, so you can just sit here and wait, or yes, you can do exactly what you're doing there, Anthony, and go ahead and start the net. And then next time you go to that URL, the net will actually be running. I don't think you actually started it though.
no, I didn't.
Okay. But yeah, that's, I hope that makes sense. That's how that
So
works.
what I'm doing is just copying the URL that's right in the list here.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what I did. And it gives the time and date of the check-in.
Yeah.
And you said it also has the statistics here for the RST.
That's right.
Where's it at? Oh, we didn't do any RSTs on my net, so there's not going to be any here.
I saw someone gave you.
Oh, here's one. Yeah, there's a 5.9 right here.
Yeah. Yeah, the cool thing about the URLs being not changing is if you were to, let's say you create a net in the system for your club or for your weekly net, and you give that URL, you email that URL out to 100 people, and let's say they click on it well before the net starts, they'll kind of sit in a waiting room until the net starts. So it is kind of useful to have those URLs for your net, even if your net's not running. And then you can also, when you click through on that screen, it gives you the option to favorite the net too. There's a little purple star that's not highlighted that you can click and highlight it. So you'll get an email every time the net starts in the future. But you have the option to favorite the net or follow the net just from that URL alone, even if the net's not running, if that makes sense.
Sean, can you change the frequency on the fly? Let's say
Yes.
we're
Yep.
halfway through the net and we decide we need to move a little bit.
Yeah. Do you want me to show you that?
Yes.
If
You have
want-
sharing back again.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. So, sure. So I'm going to share this. So I'll just start the RATPAC net back up. Okay. So we're on 7250 lower sideband. Let's say I was going to change that to 7299. So it was just F. It's just the F command. So if I type F by itself, it says 7250. If I say F space 7.259, now the frequency changed. So, and you guys
So
should all
it's-
see the frequency is 7259 lower sideband. And that was pretty important to have it right there easily in the control panel. Obviously, because if you get some QRM or QRN, you want to be able to navigate around it quickly. All right.
There's a question from Paul KF7SOJ. Do you have a list of all nets?
So that's a good question. That is something I need to develop. So I want to, not right now. So I would like to have a view here where you, like a search engine, where you can search for all the nets that are configured in the system. There's about 550 users in the system right now, and there's about 50 active nets. But I don't have that yet. I would like to do that. I don't think Netlogger has that either. So initially I was trying to go for like feature parity with Netlogger with some additional features and platform independence. But I would like to do that eventually. Anything else?
If we have any other questions, anyone else?
Since we're sort of open, just jump in here. Any comments?
No question. What was that, Dan? I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking to see if anybody had any comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I've got a question.
sure.
All right. I'm just going with, because I do use the Netlogger, and
Yeah.
I've got somebody else that does my logging because I'm rapid fire getting check-ins.
Yeah.
And it's a real busy net. And I get, I've got the computer next to me. I'm just on the microphone and I'm doing a pencil. I do paper log at the same time because that's just the way I am.
Sure.
And when somebody gives me their call, they, let's say KK6QMS, I put that, I mention that, get a confirmation from that guy, and my Netlogger buddy goes and logs it. And with Netlogger, it comes up with where he's at. And then I look over and I can see that and say, oh, you're in Morongo Valley.
Yeah.
And you're Clifford. And then he comes back and says, yeah, I'm Clifford, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
find that convenient. Now, I noticed that you had it to where you showed where we had to highlight over that, but that would be another move for me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's a good point. You're absolutely right. So Clifford, again, mutual friend of ours. If I check in Clifford here in our net, you're absolutely right. So you would see him, and then yeah, you have to put your mouse over Clifford's name, and you would see Morongo Valley. So the reason why that is I know Netlogger will show all that information. In fact, it shows like full addresses and stuff. It shows grid square and a bunch of detail. The reason it is if I did that, then this wouldn't look so good on mobile. So if you are running it on an Android or an iPhone screen, you kind of need to pick and choose your screen real estate and
Got
how
it.
to use it.
Now that that other spreadsheet that you get it at the end there
Yeah.
has can you see that while you're running the net?
That's generated when you close the net.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just
Yeah. No.
just asking.
It's a great question. It's a great question. Yep.
There's another one in the chat. If you have a net set up and you restart the net at another time, will people assigned as net loggers automatically become loggers when restarting the net?
Oh, that's a good question. No, so when you start the net, you have to type in L and make them a logger.
If they're a co-owner, does that automatically work the same way though?
Yes, if you're a co-owner, well, if you're a co-owner and you start the net, you're automatically net control. But if you're a co-owner, you don't get any implied privileges in a net that someone else started. So Anthony, if you and I both own the RATPAC net and we're both co-owners and you started your net control, I don't have any privileges until you assign them to me,
Okay.
and vice versa. Yeah.
Is there a way to set up repeating times if the net meets twice a week, for example?
Yeah. No, I mean, literally you just show up here and start the net when it's ready to start, or if you want an email notification to go out a few minutes before the net starts, you can show up a few minutes before it starts and start it. I did that on purpose because there's a lot of variability when nets actually really do start, and if they're going to run, and if they're going to run on time, and if they're canceled or on or off that week or something like that. And I thought that the reoccurring logic might actually cause more confusion. So it's pretty definitive here. If you start a net, it's running. But yeah, it's you can what I've noticed is with the nets that are configured in the system is most people tend to show up about 10 minutes before the net actually starts. So again, if I go to favorites, you can see all the nets that I'm following here. And they'll start. So let me just show you that screen actually really quick again. So the RATPAC net is running. We'll close it. So most people, what they do is they'll show up like, let's say 10 minutes before. I'll show you what that looks like. I'll start the RATPAC net again and say countdown minutes 10. Okay, so then you can see, and then everyone will see their local time. So I know with Netlogger, everything's in UTC. With this system, it actually calculates the correct time zone based on where you are located. So for me, it says this net is going to start at 7:13 p.m. And you can see this progress bar kind of make its way. And then everyone who follows this net got an email letting them know the net was starting. If you go to the main dashboard, you can see RATPAC net is kind of grayed out, and this neon on air sign is grayed out too. So it's not on air yet, but it will be at 7:13 p.m. for me, for my local time. But to answer your specific question, you can't really schedule the net to happen automatically. You have to, it's something you have to initiate here in the UI.